Hello, everyone. Can I do a mic check? Make sure you can hear me. Hello, can anybody hear me? Okay, you can't hear me. Okay, thank you.
Like to call to order the November 4th regular Board of Education meeting. Shirley, can we get a roll call, please?
Jamie Clapham,
Here.
Troy Carr,
Here.
Christine Stephenson,
Here.
Donna Moore. Here. Michael Berkland,
Here.
Walt Swan,
Here.
Katie Urban,
Here.
Amelia Schaefbauer. Here. Arabella Scott.
Here.
And Maricel Barantas.
Here. All right, we do not have anyone assigned for the invocation, so we will just have a 30-second moment of silence. Thank you very much. And now, if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we are on item 4, approval of the proposed agenda. And we are just going to move, we have students that need to get to National Honor Society induction, which we would hate for them to miss. So we are going to accommodate that by just moving all of the student reports, 8A, B, and C are going to be moved to above sharing the success. And other than that, no changes to the agenda. So we'd move to, and all votes will be roll call because we have 2 members on Zoom tonight, so everything will be roll call. So I would move to approve the proposed agenda with the change to move item A above, item 8 above item 5.
Second.
Third, whatever you want.
Mr. Swan seconds. Roll call, please, Shirley.
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Katie.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we will have our student representative reports, and first we'll have from Rapid City Alternative Academy, Maricel.
Hello. So here's our current events at RCAA. Rapid City Alternative Academy operates on 9-week quarter terms. We started our second quarter on October 17th. This structure allows our learners to focus on 4 courses at a time, and those that make the choice to can accelerate their earned credits each year. Alice Drill. On October 25th, we completed our first annual Alice Drill. During the safety drill, learners and staff practiced and discussed different response options in a simulated scenario. The drill emphasized situational awareness, effective communication, and decision-making. About our blood drive, Rapid City Alternative Academy is sponsoring our biannual blood drive this week on November 8th. I invite the board members and senior leadership team to participate in our blood drive. You can sign up by checking out on our school's Facebook. YMCA Jumpstart Program. Rapid City Alternative Academy houses many wraparound services to support the learners of our district. I will be taking a moment in my reports to highlight these services from time to time. One of those services is the YMCA Jumpstart Program. This program is a full-service center for teen parents and their children, providing a safe and caring environment for children 6 weeks to 4 years old. The YMCA Jumpstart Program is open to high school-aged parents currently attending class at Central, Stevens, or RCAA, including the GED program. This free service is life-changing for many of our learners. I would like to publicly thank YMCA for all their dedication and support to our families. Thank you. In closing, I'll remind you of our school-wide expectations at Rapid City Alternative Academy. Be respectful, be present, be courageous. Respectfully submitted, Maricel Barrientos.
Thank you very much, Maricel. Does anybody have any questions?
Maricel, can you
Seventeen.
say the date of the blood drive again?
The date of the blood drive will be November 8th.
Okay, thanks.
All right, wonderful. Now we have Miss Amelia Schaefbauer, Central High School.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. There have been a lot of updates since the last school board meeting. Firstly, just over the weekend, there were chairs and tables added to the first floor of Central. This will make for a really nice hangout spot for students, especially during their open blocks. The seats even have outlets by them, which is pretty cool and really nice for students who want to charge their computer or watch TikTok, whatever kids do. And our principal, Mr. Lundin, also stopped by AP English 12 classes to discuss problems in the school and get student input on solutions or anything that they might want to bring up. Many students were able to share their opinions and were encouraged to submit ideas and proposals throughout the year if they think of anything else. The business classes took on a volunteer project as well, which is to help night custodians clean the school. Counselors also came into senior classes to help them apply for college and answer any questions they may have about the processes. As election day is coming up tomorrow, scary, I know, very, very strenuous, But students were informed on how to register for voting a while ago, and since most students are unable to actually vote, there was a booth set up for students to mock vote with exact replicas of the real South Dakota ballot. This is a way to not only involve those who can't vote, but also teach them how to vote when they're able to within the next few years. When it comes to activities, events such as cross country, football, tennis, soccer, marching band, and so many others have either ended already or are ending just now. Good news though, this leaves room for other activities such as basketball, winter sideline cheerleading, and pep band to begin. Our football team had their last game this weekend for the playoffs as well on Halloween, so that was very interesting. This is the first playoff game Central's attended in years, so it was a really great opportunity for our players. They worked really hard to get to that spot, so that's really amazing. This weekend as well, around 48 Central students were able to attend All-State Chorus and Orchestra. 28 were in orchestra and 20 were in the choir. And half the All-State Orchestra bass section were actually Central students, 5 out of 10, which is pretty crazy because it's a whole state thing. Really big accomplishment. The group even attended the football game playoff in Sioux Falls to support our team as the events just happened to overlap. So that was pretty fun. Overall, Central has a lot going on and there'll be a lot more throughout the year. And once a cobbler, always a cobbler.
Ms. Servant has a question for me.
When are they going to tell you guys the results of your mock election, or have they already done that? Or will they?
I'm not entirely sure. I know that the elections were going all day today, so it might be released in the bulletin later this week. Yeah, hopefully.
All right, anyone else? Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Arabella Stott from Stevens High School.
Hi, good evening. As Amelia said, it has been a busy couple of weeks at Stevens High School, so I'm excited to share all of our activities and achievements. So to start off my report today, I would like to mention our Stevens High School Orchestra and our Stevens High School Choir set out for the All-State concerts this past weekend in Sioux Falls. We had many Stevens students participating in both the choir and the orchestra, and we're very proud of them for qualifying for this amazing concert. And next, our Raider girls and boys cross country teams competed in the state cross country meet on October 26th at the Hart Ranch Camping Resort here in Rapid City. The girls team made it onto the podium with a 6th place finish, and the boys finished 2nd place. So congratulations to them for a great season. And furthermore, in exciting news, the Stevens Future Farmers of America team traveled to Indianapolis for the national convention on October 23rd. Our very own Elliot Hendricks placed 10th nationally for horse evaluation, and our horse evaluation team were crowned national champions. So a huge congratulations to them. It's a great achievement. And the Knowledgeable completed their regular season, winning 11 of 12 possible medals. Our Stevens teams constantly swept the podium at competitions this season. Our 3 qualified teams will compete in the regional finals meet on Saturday, November 9th. So good luck. And the Stevens Fall musical this year is The Witch's Princess, put on by the Stevens Showstoppers. It will be showing at the Milo Winter Auditorium on November 14th and 15th, starring Isla Woodruff as Princess Alessandra on an exciting quest to avenge her mother. Tickets will be sold at the door, and we would love to have all of you there. And our German department, led by Mr. Hassey, German 2 and 3 students, and Mrs. Malik, held Schul Tutenfest in the SHS Commons on Friday. 160 students engaged in dancing, skits, and poster presentation while eating 300 pieces of cake. And the Dr. Roberta K. Gaines chapter of National Honor Society is holding an induction ceremony at 7 p.m. in the Milo Winter Auditorium this evening for all of its newly accepted juniors and seniors. My classmates and I are looking forward to representing Stevens High School well. And in other interesting news, the Environmental Sustainability Club is excited to host Lysanne Zeller, the Rapid City Sustainability Committee Manager, and Joelle Simpson, a Stevens High School graduate who is Miss South Dakota this year, as guest speakers on November 7th and 21st. Dr. Smith's physics classes are also having the opportunity to hear from 6 anesthesiology medical students this Wednesday about the physics calculations they use every day in their field, and they are all former students, so that'll be great to learn from them. And just a huge thank you to these guest speakers for taking time to connect with us students. And then lastly, believe it or not, the meetings for planning prom have started, and it will usually be on Wednesdays at Dunn Brothers Coffee in the Gap for students to meet together and help plan their prom this year. So, and with that, thank you for your time, and nothing greater than a Raider.
Any questions?
Yeah, just what is the date of the fall musical again? What weekend is that going on?
November 14th and 15th. I don't know
Okay,
what days.
They're
of the
both
week it's on.
evening.
Thursday, Friday.
Yes, thanks.
And I would just like to say congratulations on National Honor Society. We're very proud of you. All right, no other questions or comments. We'll move to sharing the success. It is National School Psychologist Week.
Good evening, board. Yeah, come on. November 6 to 10 is National School Psych Week. So school psychologists are uniquely positioned to profoundly impact the lives of students, families, and the broader school community. First and foremost, school psychologists are essential in identifying and addressing students' diverse learning and mental health needs. Through comprehensive assessments, they pinpoint the underlying factors contributing to academic struggles, behavioral challenges, or social emotional difficulties. Armed with this critical information, school psychologists then collaborate with educators, administrators, and families to develop targeted interventions and support plans that set students up for success. School psychologists are key partners in developing and implementing district-wide initiatives aimed at improving student outcomes. They lend their expertise in data analysis, program evaluation, and systems level change to ensure that the supports and services are offered are effective, equitable, and responsive to the community's unique needs. Perhaps most importantly, school psychologists serve as advocates for students' educational and mental health rights. They work tirelessly to remove barriers to learning, challenge inequitable practices, and ensure that every child has access to the resources and opportunities they need to reach their full potential. So we want to take this opportunity to thank all our school psychologists in recognizing National School Psychologist Week. And Dr. Comer, do you have a?
Yeah, so this is one of our school psychologists, Eric Fodness. He is at Stevens and South Park, and then workforce development. 8th grade North Middle School. We have 8 psychologists in the district with 1 intern, and it is a very fun week for the school psychologists to be recognized within next week. So a huge shout out to everybody. Make sure you talk to your school psychologist and tell them thank you, because they do a fabulous job within the district. So, and yeah, we're excited.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick picture, or Shirley's got it. Thank you. I don't have to. Just step out over there.
That's it.
Picture, don't you?
Thank you very much. We are now moving on to persons wishing to address the board. We have 2, so they will both get their 5 minutes. And our first speaker is Florence Thompson.
Hey, good evening, Board. My name is Florence Thompson. I'm President of South Dakota Parents Involved in Education, and I happen to be a retired school psychologist. So I've been retired for quite some time, but spent many years as a school psych, about 40 plus, and evaluated at least 4,000 or 5,000 kids. So it was a long and very interesting career. And also tonight, I'd like to talk about marijuana. We have marijuana on the ballot right now. There's a measure that, if passed, will have a devastating effect on young people and consequently on the schools. High THC marijuana is a hard drug. It can produce psychosis, suicide, uncontrollable vomiting, and just name a few things. We have seen the effect of recreational marijuana that it has had on other states, such as California, Washington, and Oregon. In Colorado, the state there estimates that marijuana has cost 4 times more than they were able to collect in tax money from the sales of marijuana. And that goes to increases brought about by all the problems created in the medical, mental health, social services, at car accidents, just the courts, the police services, everything. It's very, very expensive. It's so damaging to the community. And the children suffer the most. They're exposed early to marijuana smoke. Some of them get a hold of actual ingestible marijuana. And the children suffer from neglect and abuse in these families that are addicted to marijuana, the poor parenting that results. And the children themselves, if they begin to use it, they suffer from memory and motivation problems. And this drastically affects their schoolwork and what they learn in school, and actually has a negative effect on their intelligence. I don't believe that this board has yet taken a position against marijuana, but they should. So it's something to think about.
Our second speaker is Ed Manzano.
Good evening, school board. As a tax-paying parent of a disabled son in a wheelchair who goes to Central High School, I was very concerned when I got a text about an incident at Central last week. It just said that somebody had set off fireworks into school, but there was no threat to students, which is good. I personally consider the intentional lighting of fireworks, which are considered to be explosives, to be extremely serious, because others could be injured by such actions. Firecrackers sometimes sound like gunshots, so a lot of fear. But thank God I spoke to the principal, to the resource officer, understand it was a kind of a limited incident, very quickly handled, which is great. However, I had come here to initially say we should throw the book at these kids and kick them out of school. But having had a time to think about it, I think a more heartfelt response is they need to be taught. They need to be educated. In my opinion, it shows a character deficiency in not understanding the seriousness of your actions. I'm from the South Bronx, New York. I grew up in very, very violent schools in New York City back in the 70s and 60s. But as a young man, I belonged to the Boy Scouts. And the Boy Scout law that I have never forgotten, I still have it memorized to this day. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. All of those qualities were instilled in me over many years in Scouts. Now, I'm not saying all of our kids should go to Scouts, but our kids need to learn some of those character qualities. I think it's very, very important as they're growing up, especially in high school. I don't know if anybody on the board has read South Dakota Codified Law 1333-6.1. I would ask that you write that down and please read it, because it says It mandates public and non-public schools in South Dakota to instruct their students, to impress upon their minds the importance of citizenship, patriotism, honesty, self-discipline, self-respect, sexual abstinence, respect for ethnic groups in South Dakota, regard for the elderly, and respect for authority. That's mandated by South Dakota codified law and all of the schools in South Dakota. My question for the school board is, are we teaching our kids these important character qualities? And if not, why not? I've left a copy of some resources for character development with Donna Moore. Please consider starting or making sure that our kids learn character. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manzano. Is there any, number 7, is there any board response to our open forum speakers? Gotta remember to look on Zoom. It looks like no, so we will now move to the acting superintendent report, Dr. Strasser.
Good evening again, board. We've been talking at the last few board meetings about the Student Voice Forum request to move more to a student school board. So tonight I'd like to bring it up one more time for you to either to acknowledge that, yeah, we think this would be a good direction for them. And if so, that you determine if you want to assign a liaison to attend their student school board meetings. So that would be something for you to consider here tonight. Recently, we were awarded school-based mental health grants for 3.4 million. That's through the Department of Education. What that allows us to do is fill several positions, one a board certified behavior analyst, 3 middle school counselors, 3 high school social workers. It's a 5-year grant. And as part of that, there's also funds to do different types of programming around culturally responsive programming. So we're very excited to begin that work, and a lot of that will get going in January once we start the year and are able to start pursuing people to fill those positions. We have a staff trivia night coming up. So 1 week from Wednesday on November 13th, I want to invite you to be a part of our staff trivia night. And this is open to all staff throughout Rapid City area schools. And that'll be at Central High's cafeteria. You need teams of 6. So it's a little bit of a commitment to get on a team. But it would be great if everybody had time to show up. And I know it's not cornhole, but it's come test your trivia. Tomorrow, we have a professional development day. So with the election going on and utilizing several of our buildings, we have district-wide professional development. Our staff will continue their work doing trainings on AIM pathway, responsibility center discipline, and the discovery curriculum. Those are kind of the 3 big nuggets tomorrow, amongst some other trainings as well that keep moving us forward. We've been doing some work regarding the OCR. So we've started the interview process for the role of Director of Positive School Climate and Culture, working to find the best candidate to lead the work of implementing the voluntary OCR resolution. So that's currently ongoing. And finally, just so you're aware, our state aid enrollment count that came back to us was certified at 12,196. So that's where we are as of October 1st. And that's my report.
So just to clarify, Dr. Strasser, so do we need to take like a quote unquote formal board action, or just give direction just to make sure we're doing the steps we need to do to move
Yes,
things forward?
I think it's more just we support their move, and we would like to have membership attend.
Okay, all right. Sure, we address that for sure between now and or on the next meeting.
Thank you.
Bishop Carr. Go ahead, Bishop Carr.
I had that same question. I didn't know whether we needed to take some type of action tonight or not, but I just want to say that I do support the student school board committee, whatever it's decided to be called. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I wholeheartedly support it. My suggestion for a liaison is that, because I'm sure more than one of us would like to participate, that we would have, just like we do with the parent council, that liaison is on a rotation basis for those board members that would like to do that, so that we all can get a turn.
And I think if you formally want to bring that up again during the items for board information under other, would be a good time to make comments on that.
Sounds good. All right, thank you, Bishop Carr. Ms. Stevenson.
Thank you. Just congratulations and thank you on the mental health grant for everybody who was involved in that. I think that's hugely important for our district and really responsive to some of what we heard, well, to a lot of what we've heard from community members over the last year. As for trivia night, there are 4 board members who have committed to a team. We're still open to 2 more people. If there are any other staff members looking to join a team, I would bring my daughter, who's a ringer. She's on the Stevens Knowledge Bowl team, but she has another obligation that night. So that I wanted to let everybody know. This, on a more serious note, I do have a question that came up. I believe this has been discussed informally, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it just came up. Are there, so for staff who are concerned about being in polling places and having to work, have you heard from anybody about the safety measures in place for the staff who are going to be working in the same building as a polling place?
Those questions have not come my way. What I will tell you is I'll communicate with Mr. Sargent and make sure that we are very proactive in where our staff is in those 6 buildings, so that the measures are followed. And it's usually pretty straightforward where people go in and exit.
Okay, that was, I remember having discussions that revolved around, it's a lot easier to keep the building cordoned off for a few dozen staff members than it is for students and parents coming in and out all day long. I remember that discussion, but I had a staff member reach out who's a little bit concerned about that, and yeah, it's kind of a little last minute to bring it up, but I wanted to share that concern.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions, concerns for Dr. Strasser? All right, thank you very much, Dr. Strasser. And on to the CFOO report with Mr. Sassy.
Thank you very much. Wanted to start my report tonight, board, with the last opportunity to mention, as we move into election day tomorrow, getting out and voting and how important that is. And in particular, the initiated measure 28 conversation. Just wanted to take a moment to reiterate that the IM 28 is in particular a bill that I think has major question marks for the district in terms of what exactly that means. So again, that's repealing the tax on anything sold for human consumption. The major question mark being what is human consumption and defining human consumption. In any case, that would, if voted through, result in a massive reduction in state revenue that deeply impacts the state's general fund, which in turn almost undoubtedly would impact education, being such a significant portion of the general fund expenditures. No replacement revenue source has been identified. Again, I think a lot of the misconception there is that at some point along the way, there would be a definition and or a replacement revenue source identified throughout that process. And that's not the way this process works. It's voted on, and then all those things happen. And so it's just a massive question mark at this point. So again, would just encourage everyone out in the world to take some time to research, understand that measure, understand what it really means to you, and the areas that the general fund of the state budget is supporting, and vote accordingly. In some really positive news, the district was approached a couple months ago by the Lakota Nation Invitational Board about potentially using the Rapid City Central facility to expand their tournament. And so we have been working internally on what that would look like from a facility usage standpoint, having conversations with the personnel at Central to talk more about that. We're going to meet again with the L&I board this Friday, 11/8, to continue that conversation. We're going to present them with a quote for usage of that building. We're going to talk through some of the more specific issues that have come up between our initial conversations and now. But overall, the conversation looks really positive. It's been well supported. We've kept board leadership involved in the conversation, the facilities committee involved in terms of how that conversation is progressing. And it certainly looks like something that we are going to be able to support as a district. So I think it's an exciting opportunity to partner with such a positive and impactful event like the L&I tournament. It's huge for the community. It's huge for all the different groups that the L&I support. So really excited, and certainly we'll have more info on that here in the near future. A few facility pillar updates. So co-op is full on in the master planning process. They spent about 5 days over the last couple of weeks touring all school buildings with Mr. Clement, Mr. Lundgren, and a few other facility folks. Interesting, they said the same thing that everyone else does when they get out and actually get into our buildings, that it's very eye-opening to actually be in the buildings, walk the buildings, see some of the issues, see some of the differences in the schools in terms of age and condition and all those different things. So I think they really valued being able to get out early in the process and get in all those buildings and really have a deep look at those buildings. They are, again, in full swing, working through the master planning process. They are in the process, we are in the process of connecting them with some various stakeholder groups, both inside and outside the organization. So they're planning on meeting with principals, meeting with a district PAC group, and we'll continue to find opportunities for them to meet with those stakeholder groups and ensure that they're getting really good feedback from a good cross-section of areas of our system. They're also working on a survey out to stakeholders that will hopefully get some good feedback around some of the components of the master planning process, around some of the priorities that folks have in mind in those different things. Hoping that will go out late November or early part of December, and they'll get the feedback on that and analyze that and include that as part of the master planning process as well. I told the board last meeting I was going to be presenting at the What's Right in Education Conference in Westminster, Colorado. I had an opportunity to do that. It went great. Presentation went super well, had super positive feedback. And then I was asked to be on the AYP podcast with the Studer Ed CEO, Janet Pilcher. I don't know what that stands for, to be honest with you, Court. Do you know what AYP? I don't know. I'll figure that out and get back to you. But to kind of continue that conversation and go more in depth in some of the specific areas around strategic planning and how we've worked through a lot of those things on the facility side. So really great opportunity. I thought it was great exposure for our district and some of the good things we're doing, and really good feedback on that. So that's been great. It's crazy to think about already moving into looking at fiscal year 2026, but that's right around the corner. So a lot of upcoming reports for me will be focused on budget analyzation. A lot of our revenue sources have already started to take shape at this point in the year in terms of having our property valuation numbers back. As Dr. Strasser discussed, having our enrollment verified and knowing what that number is going to be. And so now we're really moving into starting to analyze those, especially on the revenue side. That generally takes shape, obviously, before the expense side. So a lot of my upcoming reports will really be focused around that area. And then lastly, wanted to update the board quickly. We had a conversation, it's probably been 2 months ago now, regarding the potential of bringing on a district lobbyist. And in between that conversation and today, a lot of other conversations have taken place just trying to really understand what that looks like, and start to find an individual or individuals that could potentially take something like us on as another client, because obviously that's a very unique skill set. Also the fact that education is very unique. There are a lot of really complex aspects to education. And so what could that look like? And throughout those various conversations, I had an opportunity to connect with and then have multiple conversations with Sam and Larry Nelson. And Sam and Larry are with a law firm in Sioux Falls called Freiberg, Nelson and Ask LLP. And they've lobbied on behalf of the Sioux Falls School District for well over a decade. I think Larry, so Sam and Larry are father and son. Larry is the father. I think he's been lobbying for Sioux Falls for about 15 years now. And Sam has been on about a decade for Sioux Falls. So I've had a couple of conversations with them. We then advanced a conversation into board leadership. Board leadership had an opportunity to have a conversation with them, ask them a lot of questions. We talked extensively about their process, what their strategic approach is to lobbying, a lot of those types of questions. Board leadership felt very good about that. So we are at this point working on an agreement to come forward for consideration. So we'll have more info to come on that, but wanted to provide an update that process is moving, and that hopefully in the next meeting or two, we'll have a potential agreement for the board to consider and obviously have a more robust discussion about what that would look like at that time. I think that's it for me. Vice President Clapham, happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
I did have one question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to
Sure.
clarify, particularly for the public. So the discussion with LNI, that would be for the tournament in 2025, right?
Yeah.
Not for this year.
Yes, ma'am. I should have clarified
That'd be
that.
an awful lot of moving parts to
Yeah.
change in like 20 days. So, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good to
Yep.
clarify that.
I apologize. I should have said that up front, but you are correct. So 2025 tournament.
Excellent.
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Anybody out there in Zoom land have anything? Nope, Mr. Berkland shaking his head. I can't see Bishop Carr's head, so, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
There's no conflict of interest, so then we move on to item 12, RCS policies and procedures, first reading. I will punt a little bit to Shirley, do I go through each of these individually, or do we just, does anybody have questions, discussion? Yes, does anyone have questions, discussions on any of them? And then we would go in order if people. Yes. Questions, anyone? Oh, Bishop Carr has a hand up. Yes, go ahead, Bishop Carr. Oh, you're muted, you're muted.
Okay, my apologies. We are on the agenda item of the policies.
Correct.
Okay, so we would take them, it would be just like any other categories. There's a board member that would like to take one off for further discussion. Otherwise, we would just vote on them all as a group.
Yes, it's just the first reading, but thank you for the clarification, President Carr. Does anyone want anything under item 12 pulled for discussion? Since I'm on the policy committee, I feel pretty familiar with all of them, so if no one else has any questions, unless Bishop Carr, are you still raising your hand? Nope, it's down. Okay. All right. Would anyone like to motion for item 12?
I'll motion.
Katie
to approve.
motions. Have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call, please, Shirley.
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to item 13, approval of proposed agreements. Does anyone have anything they would like to pull for discussion on the proposed agreements? Ms. Stevenson?
Yeah, I'd like to pull item E, please.
All right.
Which one?
Item E is an echo. All right, so we could ask to pull item E. Anyone else? With that, I would motion to approve the items on approval of proposed agreements, items A, B, C, and D.
Motion.
Ms. Urban,
Second.
Ms. Stevenson, second. All right, roll call, please, Shirley.
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
motion passes 7-0.
All right. Stevenson, would you like to motion to?
Okay, so I move to accept,
Item E,
yeah,
OCR agreement.
the OCR, item E,
Yes.
under board proposed agreements.
Yes, okay, Christine motion. I will second. Discussion.
Who seconded?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Discussion.
I pulled it just to, publicly say that I appreciate these experts for stepping up and, offering their expertise for our district's response to the OCR resolution. It sounds just like a really stellar group. We've got some local people, some state people, some regional people, and a lot of knowledge. And so what I hope is that we can get updates, if not directly from, well, hopefully directly from these experts, but at least summaries of what areas they are lending their expertise to and how they're moving this response in certain directions for others. But thank you for getting the group of experts together, and thank you to them for being willing to serve.
Thank you very much. Mr. Swan.
Thank you. One thing I would like to point out that we do have two former employees on that list of experts. And, I just would be a little bit leery about disgruntled employee. I'm really just, it just feels like I've mentioned it before and I've mentioned it again and I've mentioned it, I think it's my third time now. But we do have there are people holding grudges against our district, and they seem to be coming back in terms of experts now, and I'm very concerned about that. And I would like to voice my opinion that I just would rather not deal with that. We've got big issues to solve here. We've got things to do on that OCR committee, and I really am kind of looking forward to the weight that we're throwing behind it and the ideas that we want to solve problems and not be dealing with that sort of problem. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? Ms. Urban.
I had the opportunity to talk to a couple, especially some of the former RCAS employees who want to engage in this work. And I guess I just would like to say on the record that I think they have nothing but the best interest of kids. And so I'm excited that they're joining us and can help, and I'm looking forward to them being part of this work.
All right. If there is no further discussion, can we get a roll call vote on item E?
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Katie.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, moving right along. We are on item 14, approval of proposed consent agenda. Are there any items that board members would like pulled? I will start with saying I need item R, the addendum to human resources pulled, please. Anyone else? Okay, if there is no one else, then I will motion to approve item 14 with the exception of item R on approval of proposed consent agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please, Shirley.
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Katie.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, then, motion to approve item R, addendum to human resources. Can I get a second?
I'll motion.
Katie motions,
Second.
Christine seconds, discussion. This just needs to be, I want to pull it up to make sure I do this correctly. One name needs to be removed. I want to make sure I get it right. Yes, so I would like to amend those to say to approve item R with the removal of Patrick Town.
Strike Patrick Town.
Strike, yes, strike, please.
Thank you.
Better language, my apology.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion is to approve item R with Patrick Town stricken from that list. Second. Christine seconds. Roll call, please.
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
and Katie.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, item 15, items for board information. And we have the agreements with the RCPD and Pennington County Sheriff's Office. I didn't see if Ms. Parker is on, but so otherwise, is there any discussion or questions? I suppose they're just for board information. This isn't the actual vote on them, but you can see the full text, and I've had the opportunity to read through them. I guess, want to publicly acknowledge the OCR did also approve these, so they couldn't come to us without being approved by the OCR. It says she is on as a panelist, but I can't see her. But if anyone had any questions or discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Stevenson.
Well, if Ms. Parker is on.
She is.
I wouldn't mind,
There
just
she
for the
is.
public, because we've kind of gotten an overview of what the changes are. We've read the agreements. Can you, give us just an overview of why they were up for a renewal and what changes have been made and how this relates to the OCR resolution?
Hi, Christine, did you ask that of me? I'm sorry. Shirley had to adjust my settings so I could be added as a panelist.
I did ask that of you.
Perfect. I think the background information you'll find relative to the MOUs with the Rapid City Police Department and the Pennington County Sheriff's Office detail the primary changes that were made in these MOUs. The voluntary resolution agreement that we entered into with the OCR required that we modify some language in the MOUs, and those primary areas relate to training we have to do with SROs. We also had to modify language to provide clarity that it is administrators' role to what's the right word? Implement discipline to ensure that SROs aren't involved in that day-to-day disciplinary actions, and that SROs involvement in day-to-day activities at school relates to serious threats of harm, safety, those sorts of things. We are thankful that both the Rapid City Police Department and the Pennington County Sheriff's Office were great to work with through this process and agreed that those changes were necessary and important. And like Ms. Clapham said, the OCR has approved the agreements as they're written and as they appear on the agenda tonight.
Go ahead, Ms. Stevenson.
Yeah, Kelsey, I have to apologize. I got information from you that, and then when I read the board agenda, I did not actually see that nice little document that you wrote. I'm really sorry for.
No worries.
So I thought that I had information that was not public, but I see now that it is on the agenda. So appreciate that. But I appreciate that you repeated it.
All right, Mr. Berkland.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Kelsey. Will these MOUs, before we actually vote on them, will these be looked at, or have these been looked at by any kind of like other groups, like our, like another, like a stakeholder group being formed? There's the PAC. Are these going through any other groups before then, or are we kind of just, I don't want to say just doing it, but are there other groups looking at it, I guess?
No, there are, the stakeholder committee, as detailed in the OCR resolution agreement, isn't required to look at this or both of these MOUs. So the agreement is really clear on what role the stakeholder committee has in each individual item. And this is one of those items that the stakeholder committee nor any expert consultant had to review. So this will go through the approval process at the sheriff's office, the police department, and then through you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Following up to Mr. Berkland, but would it be accurate to say, obviously, this is an informational item, so for the public, this is now available, and anyone who did have questions could reach out to the district in the meantime and or come to speak at the meeting, the next meeting regarding these. Is that correct, Ms. Parker?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so there definitely, we've talked a lot on this board about transparency and working with our community and alongside, and not being, we're not dictators. So I want to make sure that it is very clear that part of the reason that this is attached to the agenda as an information item is so that they are public. We are not trying to shove them under a desk somewhere and hide them from people, so that if people did want discussion, clarification, like that, it is out there and that it is a very public document that we want people to see. So to encourage people, I know there's been a lot of discussion and concern, so I think that it's just really important that we emphasize that that is out there and that we are open to that for sure. All right, well, since it's just an information item, there's nothing to vote on that. So next would be committee reports. So who has a committee report? All right, Mrs. Urban has a couple, so we'll start with Mrs. Urban.
Thank you, Vice President. The first one is from the Rapid City Public School Foundation. We had a meeting on October 21st. One of the things that the foundation supported was the I Love My Public Schools campaign. That's really been kind of a grassroots effort. The foundation gave some money so that we could buy t-shirts and distribute them. Another grant that they was recently awarded was for AP exam fees for students who could not afford them. And so I think it's up to 3,000 is what the foundation said that they would cover for students that needed it. And we had heard from our student representative at the foundation that we just need to advertise that a little bit better. So I think word is getting out on that. So if students do need some support or have a need, they can talk to their counselor, I believe, or their AP teacher. Planning for the annual Evening of Excellence is going to start this week. And this is the 30th year that the foundation is in since it's been created, it's their 30-year anniversary. So we're going to do some marketing around that and I'm going to help. And then they typically do above and beyond where they give $50 to somebody that's been nominated to a staff member. And they're going to continue that this year, but they're going to do it a little differently. Instead of being at the board meetings, they're going to award those $50 awards in person at the schools. So just to make it a little bit more exciting. That's about it, unless Michael has anything else on the foundation report. Otherwise, I could talk about our facilities. I could do a quick report on that. Coy actually touched on a lot of it, but South Middle School, we got an update. They are putting in the grass on the track. And so it's really close to being done. I believe their goal was to be done in November. So they're going to meet that. And the rest of the building, there was a few little things to get done and it's pretty much a green light at this point. So they are in business. Co-op was present. They ran a survey bias that they want to distribute to community members, staff, students, families. And so we just gave them some input. And then like Coy said, we're hoping end of November, early December, they'll be able to get that out. And then the bid is open on the 6th, which is this week. Wednesday, yeah. The bid is open for the demolition of Canyon Lake. So that's going to be starting this year, probably before the end of this 2024. So they are taking bids between November 6th and November 19th, just for that old part of the campus, that old building. And I think that's about it.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Serban. Mrs. Stevenson.
Yeah, I'll just give a brief update from the Community Outreach Committee. We did send out our first newsletter of the year last week. That was just last week, and hoping as a committee to write another one before Christmas. I appreciate those of you who read it beforehand, gave feedback, but basically kind of high level what the board's up to, what we're paying attention to and thinking about. So if anybody has any input for what they'd like to send out in the newsletter, please let us know. We are still looking for volunteer opportunities and for a project to do for the board. And we have some good leads thanks to Kristen Kiner, who is kind of the head of all things public service, community service in the district. It feels like she came back with some very good ideas. So I will send out a couple of options once we get confirmed that if everybody can attend, that it's an appropriate thing for 7 board members to come to. And at the end of that first newsletter, we had a little thing that we're looking for volunteer opportunities. I would like to state again that these don't need to be organized, but I know some of us, it's a nice way to get into the school instead of just doing school visits. And so right away, we got an invite from North doing a community night next week. And I know it just happened to work out in my schedule, so I'm super excited about it. Things almost never work out in my schedule, especially the ones that I really want to go to, so I was excited. So keep those coming to the board. The email address is in the newsletter for anybody listening. The final thing that we talked about was trying to find more ways for us to reach members of the local community in addition to parents, staff, and everybody else. And we're going to start working on a list of clubs in town and when they meet and seeing if they would mind a board member dropping in, just so we can keep pathways of communication both ways open and really make sure that in general, the community feel like they know what's happening with the school district. I think that's about it in my notes. And we will probably meet again in a few weeks here. So more to come.
Oh, the one other thing, we are following up on speaking with high school students in their government classes and possibly the English classes at Central High School. So that's something that we are responding to, that we heard a lot last year, was that the forums were great, but we didn't reach the students as well. So we're trying to meet them where they are at school. And so we're hoping to start that in the next couple weeks. End of the semester it might be a little bumpy, but we're working on starting that very soon as well.
Thank you for remembering that.
You're very welcome. All right, Mr. Swan.
we had a meeting October 16th from the PAC. Advisory Committee for Title IV, some of the old business. I really want to commend the PAC for making use of their subcommittees. I think that
I'm sorry, Mr. Swan, your mic's not on.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Anyway, the October 16th PAC meeting. What I would like to talk about is that I would like to commend the PAC for using their subcommittees. That otherwise is really, they met on a separate occasion other than their regular PAC meeting. And they did approve that their senior honoring ceremony is not going to align with the district. It is actually a higher standard than the district, that they will not allow students to be involved with the ceremony that do not have everything complete. We feel this is having an eagle plume or an eagle feather is our highest honor. And so we felt that that was worthy of being honored that way. It's for a feather is given for something earned rather than something to be earned. So I would like to commend the PAC for doing that and taking that courageous step. There will be a summer ceremony for the summer graduates that go back and complete their coursework. At that meeting, I introduced the staff. I want to say something about their staff. I believe that they're highly motivated and they are an educated group of individuals, whether they're educated in having a diploma or having something from a college or blessed with, I guess, our culture and our ability to speak our language. They appear to be a great group of people, and they do know a lot about our ceremonies. Ira did share with the group that what an OCR director looks like. What does it look like? The manager position was rejected and needs to be a director. That's kind of what he had shared with them. He provided information about, he wants to provide an information session via webinar for all 23 buildings. Staff will serve as a proctor to answer questions. His staff will. And that's kind of where he wanted to. He did share with us, we had 4,948 Native students in the district, or identified as Native students in our district, with 2,484 504s. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Swan. Appreciate all that information. Mr. Berkland.
Thank you. The last committee that I'm on that has not been covered yet is the Performing Arts Center. The main thing that we talked about at this meeting is the Performing Arts Center is looking at making both their building and their shows more accessible. Sorry if you can hear my cat meowing. I can certainly. Sorry, that distracted me. Making the shows more accessible and the building more accessible with their kind of funds. Things such as like captioning shows, making sure that all the seats are accessible for people with different disabilities and those sorts of things. To try to get more people to their shows, which would also be fantastic for us because the reason I'm on the committee is we own the building. And as you may probably know, many of you have probably been to one, a lot of our schools host things in that theater as well. So any changes that they're able to make, I'm sure will be done in partnership with us. Jade is also on the committee. And so that's a really exciting thing coming from the Performing Arts Center.
Thank you, Mr. Berkland. I really appreciate that. I have to say, I think probably because of what I do in my day job, I do get a lot of feedback from families and parents about accessibility of our buildings and or lack of accessibility to our buildings. So I really appreciate the PAC picking up that torch and thinking about ways to make it more accessible. If there are no other committee reports, then we'll move on to other. Any others? All right, Mrs. Urban.
I just wanted to say for the record that I really support the student board work, whatever they're gonna call it. I think it's a great idea, so I would be in support of it.
President Carr.
I just want to bring to the board for clarity 3 ways that board members can have open discussion about a topic of their preference. Number one, because we have only a proposed agenda, before we vote on the actual agenda, you are able to propose an agenda item at that time, the day of the board meeting. That probably should be reserved for something that's, I won't say it's an emergency, but something that's maybe highly important that just came up and should be used probably infrequently, but it is an opportunity to put something on the agenda. The other way is that the agenda committee, myself, and right now acting superintendent meet on the Thursday before the first Tuesday and third Tuesday to put together the agenda. And so any board member can give me a call, email me, and let me know of whatever agenda item they would like for open discussion. The other way is in others. Obviously, the other section of our agenda allows any board member to bring up any topic for discussion. I think if you do other, if it's an agenda item or a subject that needs a board vote, I would probably put it on the actual agenda so then we can know that it is a voting item. Otherwise, in other, you are free to talk about anything, any subject, any issue, and we can have an open discussion at that time. My second thing is I have a goal of visiting all 23 lunchrooms in our district, and I visited 3 at this time, and I have had such a wonderful time. The food staff at each school, I won't mention the schools until I've gone to everybody, so that no one feels left out at this time. But the schools that I visited, the lunch staff are amazing. They work extra hard to feed our kids. The lunch and the lunch programs are, I mean, the food, the fresh food, the fruits, the vegetables, and all those different things are awesome. So big shout out to our food departments. And if I haven't been to your school yet, I'm on my way. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, President Carr. And everybody knows that I always have another, it seems. So just wanted to say, I think, we've talked a lot about community and involvement, and I think it's important to recognize in a way how intertwined our schools are with our community. When we look at the YMCA Jumpstart program, we have students coming back to Stevens High School to speak to students. Today I was at Feeding South Dakota, and we packed almost 700 bags for the backpack program for our kids, and Feeding South Dakota is involved in our district, and we look at our agreements, and we have Black Hills Special Services. And so it's really, when we talk about our schools belong in the community, they really, really do. And it's wonderful, all of the different initiatives and different organizations that are involved. I did want to give a shout out to, I think, unsung heroes, the lunch monitors and the noon duty people. I was at lunch today at Blackhawk, and I think all elementary lunchrooms are at a decibel level that is like beyond my imagination. And somehow they push through that every single day with a smile. And so they're very much some of the unsung heroes in the district who do that. And of course, it being the eve of elections, just everyone take the opportunity to go out and vote. And it's not just what's at the top of the ballot. There are many, many measures that will affect our community and our day-to-day. And I will say the Secretary of State's website, if you go to it, really has several really good explanations of both the pro and the con side, because I will be honest, if you just look at ads, you'll be completely confused. So I highly recommend to use that resource. The Secretary of State's website is a very good factual resource for people to go to, and just also using it as opportunity, to show our kids citizenship and that this is part of what we do as citizens. I will be dragging my children to the polls with me intentionally. That's why I waited until tomorrow to go, so that they could go with me. So really, show our kids how to be responsible citizens and how all the civil process works, and go out and vote tomorrow. On that note, if there is nothing else, that's okay. I'm sorry, I missed you.
No,
ahead,
all I wanted to say is I also support the student school board, and I was wondering if maybe I could request that we just put it on the next agenda as something that we vote on, with President Carr's suggestion that it's a rotating board member. I think that would be the most appropriate way to like formally give our support.
I agree, because I think it would need to be, then it's added to the committee, the formal committee list, which does matter, so that's the formal, I think the formal piece that goes on that list.
But I love it, and thank you to everybody who's working for it.
Wonderful, thank you for that input. All right, at this time, we will move into executive session for SDCL 125.21 and 0.23. I have a motion to move into executive session. Moved by Mr. Swan.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Stephenson. It is a motion and seconded to move into executive session. Shirley, can I get a roll call, please?
Jamie,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes, but I won't be there. You all have a good night.
Christine,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Katie.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
So there'll be no formal action after this time. Thank you very much, everybody. 6:42.
No.
Although it feels like it's been.